The Golden State Warriors, 46 and 36, ended up with the 10th seed for all their trouble due to various tiebreak scenarios and lost to the Kings in the first round of the play-in tournament. It's not a very fun way to go. Now, Warriors probably would have had a better record if it weren't for a million different things, but I think we really have to talk first and foremost about Draymond Green. Now, Draymond played only 55 games last season, and a lot of that was due to his behavior actually on the court, not off the court antics, but on the court sort of violent and dirty play. And if he plays a few more games, opponents only shot 43% when guarded by Draymond Green last year, which is like insane. And, if he plays a few more games, he's super vital to the Warriors. So I just think they win a lot more games if, he's playing and not getting in his own way. And you have to wonder if that's going to be a thing going forward because, it's been a thing with him every year and it doesn't seem to have an end in sight. But, I look at the rest of the roster, there are question marks that have to be, sort of brought to bear. Okay, Steve Kerr won a gold in the Olympics. Congratulations. That's great. Great job. He's a great all-time coach. But at what point does he get impatient? Does he play the young guys enough? Then you have a few other questions. I totally can't believe I just forgot about first question. Klay Thompson is no longer in Golden State. He was traded to Dallas, part of a sign and trade. Is that going to impact how the team plays? Stephen Curry is this all-time great player and still a great player. I don't think top 5 player in the league right now, maybe top 10, but does not having Klay Thompson all of a sudden change the dynamic of how that team likes to run offense? I mean, I look at sort of what's around. There's a lot of starter caliber players and some young players who need minutes. But who's starting next to Stephen Curry next year? Is it D'Anthony Melton? Great defensive player. I think he'd be a great pick, but undersized and went through injuries last year. Who knows if that lingers into this year? Does Buddy Hield start next to him? That would replicate the shooting of Clay, but then you have massive defensive issues. Does Brandon Pajemski start in that place? Had a great rookie season. Actually, an excellent rebounder for his size, but a little bit inconsistent as a player. And he's only 6'4", so the size issue is still a thing. Truthfully, size is an issue all up and down the Golden State roster. I mean, they only have guys who are 6'9". The only player they have who is taller than 6'9", is a guy they drafted this year in the second round, Quentin Post. It was a 7-footer, but is he going to play? So size is an issue up and down the roster, but back to the original point, how you decide to play the starting lineup, because there's a bunch of other guys. Let me just sort of run through the list for you for a sec. Jonathan Kuminga, of course, needs to start. Andrew Wiggins could start, but probably needs to come off the bench. Draymond Green, Kevon Looney, Kyle Anderson certainly deserves consideration. Anthony Melton, as I said, Buddy Hield, Pajemski. There's a lot of starting caliber players. You only have 5 spots, and you have to assume Steph is starting and Draymond is starting. I assume Kuminga's going to start one of those spots, but then you have to figure out, do you start Looney and have bad shooting? Do you start Hield, have bad defense? There's sort of a mismatch that needs to be figured out. And, 10th seed does sound bad even for 46 wins, but the West is going to be even more competitive this year, so you're going to have to play better. I will say the Warriors are definitely deeper, and I actually think they're a little more talented. Plus, Kuminga had a bit of a breakout last season. He wasn't exactly happy with Steve Kerr all the time, and he doesn't have an extension yet. But if he gets his extension, or maybe he gets a lot of minutes in a bigger role, that could be a thing. So, I look at these sorts of questions when it comes to Golden State. The athleticism is a question because Pajemski isn't really that athletic, but he's a solid player, solid young player. Kuminga's athletic. There really isn't much left on the team. Moses Moody, is he going to play this year with all the guys there and they're trying to win, even though I don't think they're a title contender, even with Steph Curry there? There's sort of this weird area. Everyone likes to talk about the 2 timeline thing with Golden State because they tried with Wiseman and Kuminga and it didn't work out. And I think that conversation's over. Now it's just sort of about trying to maximize the rest of Steph Curry's career. Assuming, of course, he signed a 1-year, $62 million deal in the offseason. One has to assume he's not leaving and he's going to be a Warrior for life. At the same time, there were rumblings about him going to the Lakers. Is there any truth in that? I don't know. But I know there's LeBron James to Golden State conversation, so anything's possible. And Steph did play in the Olympics and buddy with LeBron. It was great towards the end of that Olympic run. That might cause a layover or might cause a hangover into the season, but I assume Steph will be great. But really, the Warriors' best chance of winning a title is if Draymond plays healthy and plays available, Steph healthy, available, and young guys step up, Kuminga, Pajemski, etc. Wiggins has to play better because he has not played well for the last 2 years, and he is getting older. How old is Andrew Wiggins? Um, I forget how old Andrew Wiggins is, but he's like, I think he's only 28, but it's still like he's getting older. He's been in the league for a while. So between all of that, between the new guys, there's tons of depth, as I said, total lack of size. Golden State's done this every year, so it's not new, but at some point it's going to catch up to them. Plus, there's not really that much athleticism. They were 27th in fast break points. Can't win a title that way. You just can't, especially if you're a young team. They were also the team with the most losses in games where they led after the third quarter, 42-11. I don't know if that's on Steve Kerr. I don't know if it's just the roster around them. That has to be better. They were another stat for you. They were 19-31 versus the teams 500 or better. That has to improve. A lot of their wins, 27 of their wins were against sub 500 teams. Like these things have to be cleaned up if Golden State wants to win. Now, I will say something to their favor. They actually own all of their draft picks, all their first round picks through 2029. I don't know how they managed to swing that. And they're actually right below the first apron. However, they're hard capped at the first apron. There's some weird CBA rules I won't get into. So, trades are going to be a little hard, but at least they have assets to sort of pivot if something goes wrong during the season. I think if you're Golden State, you could again get into the playoffs. I think there's still sort of playing conversations. Maybe top six is doable, but I think it's a 7-8 range for them. But maybe they get another miraculous season like they did 2 years ago and win the title. Steph Curry's still on the team, Draymond Green's still on the team, so honestly, anything is possible.